Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Colorado National Monument near Grand Junction, Colorado. It's literally Grand Junction right behind me, and it's really crazy because there's like no snow over here. Then behind me, the monument is just buried in snow, which is kind of cool. Me testing out this Panasonic Lumix FZ300. I've never used one of these before. It's actually not my camera; it's a friend of mine. And I'm just curious to see what kind of photos I could get with this, and just go on a little hike on a nice sunny late January day. This is interesting. We're on like the first part of the trail. We haven't hopped in the canyon yet, and we're on property of the National Monument here, which is federal land. And there's literally a neighborhood of houses. This big like barbed wire fence right next to it. I don't think I've quite seen anything like that before. We're doing the Monument Canyon Loop Trail today, I believe it's called, which is about 2.5 miles up to Independence Monument and about 2.5 miles back. Hopefully it's not too iced in, but it's a bit muddy right now because it's kind of a warm day and there's snow on the ground and it's melting. So we'll see how it goes. This is one side of the trail. I don't know. That's got to be well over, I don't know, multi-million-dollar home. And then this side of the trail is canyons and the monument. We're just trying to kind of speculate on how many square feet that house is and if it's one or two houses, but I think it's actually one. It's enormous. I don't know why any person would need a house that big, but it's got to be like several $1 million right next to a national monument and all the cliffs, but I definitely prefer this side of the trail to that side of the trail. We have turned the corner. We're now heading into the canyons of Colorado National Monument from the bottom, which is really cool because I've actually only really ever been on top, because when entering Colorado National Monument by road, you drive up the Rim Rock Road, I think it's called, and you drive the entire perimeter of the top, which is up there on top of these canyons. We're on the bottom now, which is really cool, and the snow adds a nice feel to the Red Rock Canyons and such. I will say though, the conditions right now for shooting are not great. I've already taken a few photos with this FZ300 just to kind of see what I can come up with it. I'm just curious to see. It's more of an entry-level camera from Lumix, and I'm just curious to see what I can come up with. I'm normally going to be shooting my photos with my G9. I'm not using the G9 today, I'm just using this. Warm. I need to take the jacket off. Okay, well that is Independence Monument behind us. It's kind of like the destination of this hike, and then you loop back around the other side of this kind of like mesa butte behind us. There's this massive like canyon valley behind me. I've never been down in Colorado National Monument like this before, and honestly, for a national monument, this is pretty amazing. Like, I'd almost say it's like, feels like a mini national park to me, and it's actually probably cooler than a couple national parks I've been to in the western U.S. As far as I know, how it kind of works is national park is kind of like the highest level, and national monument is kind of like a level lower than national park. But a lot of national parks actually were started as national monuments and were redesignated as national parks later on. Actually, a lot of them were, but probably one of the cooler national monuments I've been to, and I think it's a bit underrated, honestly. That's it. That is Independence Monument right behind me. That is the halfway point of this loop hike. finished that 5-mile hike. It wasn't so bad. So, this right here is probably my favorite viewpoint in all of Colorado National Monuments. I've been here 3 times before. This is actually the first time I've been to this spot in the wintertime. The last times were actually in spring. I was here about 9 months ago in late April of 2021. You see where we hiked to earlier today, the bottom of Independence Monument, which is way over there. That's where we were a couple of hours ago, and now I'm just coming up here for sunset and try and see if I can get some photos with this camera here, the FZ300. I have some thoughts on this, and maybe I'll share at the end of the video, but we're trying to snap a few more photos with it first. Completely cloudless sky, probably not going to be a great sunset, but we'll see what we can come up with. You know, one of the things I love about being out in nature by myself the most is just the silence. I feel like as humans, we're so used to just being in this busy society and going to stores with lots of people and driving our cars and, you know, traffic lights and honking horns and all that stuff. And out here, none of that stuff matters. It's just quiet, and it's peaceful, it's beautiful, and I feel like I can get in touch with who I really am out here and let go of all the other things that just don't really matter all that much. That was one day of landscape photography shooting with the Lumix FZ300 in Colorado National Monument. I will say, if you get the chance to visit Colorado National Monument, I would highly recommend it. It's a pretty fantastic park in western Colorado near Grand Junction. Yeah, I've always had a lot of fun going there and shooting. Now, I thought I'd share a few thoughts on this camera before I end the video here. Seeing as I have made reviews and made videos about other Lumix cameras, since that's what I use a Lumix G85 to shoot my videos with and a G9 to shoot all my photography with. So a couple things about this that I didn't quite care for. I mean, the image quality I think was fairly decent, and it is an entry-level camera. I think it costs like $450 to $500. It's a fixed lens, so you can't actually remove this lens, which is weird because it's a mirrorless camera. And it's a 25 to 600, so it has a huge range, which I guess in micro four thirds, which I think this is a micro four thirds sensor, is actually about a 12 to 300 in micro four thirds. 25 to 600, I think, is full frame equivalent. So yeah, the fixed lens is a bit strange, I would say. I don't know how I'd feel about not being able to switch out lenses on this, but I guess that's kind of why it's such a large range. And then also, another thing I thought was a bit awkward, I thought was a bit maybe neat at first when I saw this, but then when I actually use it in practice, I realized I had a hard time with is the zoom isn't a zoom ring. It's this little button here which makes the lens go out. So it's electronic zoom. And what I found weird about that is I always just kind of kept forgetting where it was at when I was shooting, especially if I was shooting portrait and the camera vertical with that, which I do often. I had a hard time using this to zoom in and out. And it's just not as responsive as a manual zoom, in my opinion, so I didn't really care for that. You can't adjust shutter speed and aperture at the same time, simultaneously, because they only have one knob here, which you can switch between in the menus between shutter speed and aperture. So you have to like adjust shutter speed, and if you want to change your aperture, you have to press this button up here, the function 1 button, to switch it so this also does aperture. So not having both dials like most other cameras have one up here, which would do aperture if you were to set that way, and shutter speed back here doesn't have that, so you have to switch between. This one does both, so I thought that was a bit just slowed down my shooting workflow, essentially. It made it more difficult for me to get to shots because I had to switch between both when I wanted to switch my settings. I think the photos turned out all right. But for the price range, $450 to $500, I would actually recommend that you either buy a Lumix G7 or a GX85. They're right around the same price, and they're not fixed lens. They're interchangeable lenses, and probably, you know, at least just as good quality and features this camera has. So it wouldn't be my first choice for the price point, but it's still a decent camera. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you did enjoy the video, subscribe to my channel down below to see more landscape photography, adventure, nature, photography videos in national parks and such. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.